Hello and welcome back to After the Table, a TTRPG podcast. 'Tis I, your favorite halfling fan, but I always play some sort of elf because I'm a basic white girl. Shelly Von Miller! Hey! Hi! I'm very excited about this episode, y'all. Mostly because I'm a fan of their show, and also, I might have backed their Kickstarter because, you know, I think it sounds really cool, and I listened to the show anyways, so I was like, hell yeah. Speaking of which, they just wrapped up a very successful Kickstarter for their campaign setting, City of the Black Rose. They're amazing GMs and players in their own right. Two of the members of Crit Award-winning podcast, The Three Black Halflings. Welcome to the table, Candace and Jeremy. Hello, hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. And thank you for such a nice intro. And for back to the Kickstarter.
Yeah. Thank you.
Everybody says that the intros are great, and I'm like, you know, if you ever need anybody to record an intro for you, I will. I'm here.
I'm taking notes right now.
It's because of a drag queen called Kelly Mantle. She has her own podcast, and I write mine down because I'm not that talented. I've said this many a time. But does intros like off the top of the dome whenever introducing drag queens to their show, like their guests to the show, and I'm like,
yeah, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
I know that when I'm doing an introduction for an AP, if there's very specific information that I need to get out in order to paint a scene and also just to economically set the tone, I will often write an intro. I was actually I'm not going to say who it was, but I was at a show with a GM in person recently, and I happened to be sitting next to them, and I noticed that they had written their intro, and I was like, nice. It was a good intro, too. So
it's good. We love a good intro. It sets the tone, and also it makes people, especially if you're introducing like the players and everything like that, it makes them feel like a little bit more part of the storytelling, for me at least.
Yeah. I also write down my intros.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Speaking of introducing y'all, introduce yourselves for those who might not know who you are, and if you don't, excuse me, pardon.
Okay.
Whoever can go first.
Do we want to roll for initiative? Candace, do you have dice?
You know what? I'm a bad nerd and I don't have dice.
Oh.
I just cleaned up my booth.
Oh.
You should see it. It's so nice in here.
I have a dice roller app on my phone, so I can just roll for both of us. I can roll.
I mean, I guess if you want to trust RNGesus, you can, but I don't know, man.
Okay, I'll roll for you first. This is the roll for you.
Uh-huh.
So that's a 7.
Okay.
Roll for me now. And that is
Jeremy
a 10.
goes first.
A 10. That's me.
Jeremy goes first.
All right. My name is Jeremy. My pronouns are he, him. You may have heard me as Shelly so eloquently put it on the show, Three Black Halflings, where I am a co-host and resident GM. I am, speaking of City of the Black Rose, I'm the GM for the City of the Black Rose series and the creator of the City of the Black Rose setting. I originally made it for a home game, actually, 5 years ago, and it has blossomed into this now. Is there anything else that I should say about myself? Hopes, dreams.
Amazing.
Should I say a secret?
Dreams. Yeah, you could. Yeah, if you want to tell a secret.
I'm trying to think if there's a secret that I have. There aren't. I'm usually relatively. I don't know. Usually, the things that I'm secretive about, that I'm really secretive about, I never actually say to anyone. Okay, here's something. This isn't really a secret. It's just a little known fact. Years ago was driving to work one day and a deer ran into the front of my car, like at an angle. It ran into my car and one of its antlers came off, and I still have that antler to this day.
That's awesome. Was your car okay?
No, my car was fully totaled, and so was the deer. The deer slid off into a ditch and then ran away, and one of its legs was waving goodbye the whole way as it went. The deer was not okay.
Oh no. Yeah, up north, deer are so deadly. That's like a serious way that people can perish in the north.
Yeah, we have white-tailed deer here, and they can cause some issues. We also have cows, which have caused issues.
Oh no!
So
yeah,
people running into cows.
Yeah,
I can imagine that would
in the middle of the night on a highway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are cows tall enough to have the moose problem where when you hit them they fall into your vehicle and kill you?
I haven't had that issue yet, so I don't know.
Have you hit a cow?
I have not. I have not.
Goodness.
No. No.
Oh my gosh.
No,
I was
no
really
cow.
worried there for a second. That
You don't
sounds
know.
awful.
No, I
that's
have not had that issue yet. So I have no idea.
Well, I can tell you that I live in Florida where there's no cow or deer. I mean, that's not true. There's deer here and there's cows, but the deer we have are real small, and they're like on the islands, like closer to Key West. They're not like in my area. I live in the suburbs. There's nothing good here except lizards, and lizards are not great when you have two cats. My name is Candace, also known as Candace the Magnificent. My pronouns are they, she, and a sprinkle of he. As I said, I live in America's armpit, Florida, for now. I have two cats. They're great. I'm a TTRPG performer, voice actor, writer, streamer, and a bunch of other stuff that I only do part of the time. Happy to be here. Oh, and I'm also the newest halfling. Hi.
Hell yeah. You live in the armpit. I live in the asshole. I live in Texas. So, yeah.
I was actually contemplating moving from the armpit to the asshole because I was like, you know, it might be nicer there. But the only part that I was like, that would be
Austin.
a good move was Austin. And I feel like the margins of where Austin is safe have gotten smaller in the past
Very small.
few years. So
Fun fact, I don't know if you know anything about this, Jeremy. There's been a serial killer the past couple of years in Austin.
I'm sorry, what?
Whoa!
You didn't know this, Candace? Yes.
No.
Yeah, there's
My
a
best friend
serial
is a tattoo artist there, and now I'm very concerned.
I assume,
Yeah, there's
Candace,
this-
you meant politically safe, right? Not like
Yeah,
serial killer safe.
I did, but now I mean both.
There's a serial killer allegedly.
Allegedly? We're not
Allegedly,
sure?
there's not sure. It's been happening for like 2 to 4 years.
Oh. I mean,
I
And
know,
they're
they're
dumping
real serious.
they're dumping bodies in the lake.
Whoa!
And people
But people swim in there.
That's
like
how
a
they've been
public
finding
attraction.
bodies.
No.
That's how they've been finding bodies.
No,
is
I don't
they'll
like
wash
it.
up and or people will find them.
Is there
Oh
a
my God,
pattern
that's so
to the
stressful.
victims? Is that...
A lot of them have been victims who've been like partying on 6th or 4th Street.
That's where my
Oh,
best friend
no.
works.
On 4th?
6th at a tattoo
Oh,
shop.
6th?
The one across from Voodoo Donuts. Oh no.
Oh! I know that one.
Blindside. Yeah.
Yep.
My
Oh
best
my
friend
goodness.
is Kimber. She's a tattoo artist there.
Let's
Okay.
hope that the serial killer is not listening to this program.
Yeah, hey, if
I'm just
you're
gonna tell
the-
you right now, if you're the serial killer and you fucking do anything to my friend, I will fucking find you, dude. This is
If you
this
do,
is my
I
token
have friends in
message.
Austin. If you do anything to my friends, I will end you. I will
Listen.
come find you. I will be that white woman with a podcast, and I will find you.
That's right. That's fucking right, man. Our network is so wide, you have no idea.
You
my
have you
goodness.
really.
People would be
TTRPG world is
Yeah, it's rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
On the subject of serial killers, if I may, a short digression.
Is this now a true
Yes.
crime podcast?
It's now a true crime podcast. We're episode 4 of season 2. We're turning tail.
Hard pivot. Hard pivot. I actually, if we did that, I did have a pretty lengthy series of run-ins with a fugitive felon a few years ago. That is a wild story. I can't say it right now, but it's wild. I think I told Candace the
I
story
do
once.
know that story. Yeah, that's wild.
It is
That's
a
crazy
bonkers
shit.
story. But,
Very involved.
Yeah, super involved. It would be like a multiple episode series.
Correct.
But I recently read on Twitter. I don't go on Twitter really to post these days. It's just to read things. And somebody was talking about how they some years ago had been, I think, engaged to somebody whose father turned out to have been a serial killer.
Oh my God.
And he had been taking them as a group to picnics near where he'd been stashing his victims.
No.
Yeah. And he got caught, and that's when they found out. And it was like, what? And there was they're from Australia. I think based on the time frame, actually there was enough information that you could even find out who it is. Like, I looked it up. You can see who the guy was. But he at one, I guess the first time that this person met him, he had driven across country to help them move, but he'd driven in the car in which he captured his victims. And
No.
because of how long of a car ride it was, they're like, I don't know what he did on the way there, because it was such a long journey. He might have hurt somebody as he came to get us. Like, it's just wild.
That's horrible.
He might have picked up a victim on the way. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's
In
genuinely
Australia
disturbing.
of all places. in Australia of all places. Jeez.
I feel like Australia is the Florida of the world. That's what I feel like.
I love it. Don't get me wrong. I've been there a couple times. I have family there. That is scary to think of. Like,
It's
don't
like
have
the
guns.
Wild West, and they have like all kinds of like. There's no guns, but like it's like the Wild West as far as like the
They have
energy
machetes.
of the people, right? Like the energy of the people in Florida
Yeah.
is very Wild West. It's not Western here, but the
Yeah.
energy and the attitude is very Wild West. And I feel like that frontier kind of like we're gonna get it kind of energy is in Australia, and then like. You also have the outback where, like, literally everything is trying to kill you, and that's the Everglades. Like, everything here is trying to just end your life, and without remorse. And I feel like that's all of Australia. A friend of mine came back from visiting Australia, and she was like, yeah, so, I was thinking about moving there. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool. I'd come visit you. She's like, no. I was like, what happened? She's like, oh, I was in a grocery store, just like a little, like, almost like a bodega, and it was really cool. You know, I was grabbing my groceries, and I moved a bag of rice out of the way, and there was, you know, I thought it was a tarantula, but apparently tarantulas aren't poisonous, but this definitely was. So, yeah, I'm not gonna...
Oh, the huntsman. Is it the huntsman spider?
Yeah, the big buddy. Like, the
my last trip to Australia, which was last year in 2024, my aunt and uncle, they live out in the country. They had a huntsman like on their walls. It would move ever so often, and they're like, oh, this one isn't moving as much. Oh, it's missing a leg. And then it just disappeared one day.
Nope.
And they're like, oh, it probably died. I'm like, oh, that's... They're like, just keep your door closed. I'm like, okay.
It's big enough that it needs a door? No.
Just keep your door closed. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for scaring the hell out of
What
me.
if it's in your sofa? No.
Whoa.
No.
So the Sydney funnel web, which I believe is the most venomous spider in Australia, likes to hang out in small enclosed spaces. And so apparently there's a real issue with them going into people's shoes and making webs. And so, like, I guess in parts of Australia, you're supposed to grab your shoe and shake it out.
No,
because
thank you.
if you just stick your foot in there, you never know.
I mean, I could just not go there, is the thing.
I had to do that whenever I was in Afghanistan, because they have, oh gosh, it's like a scorpion and a spider made a baby.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
I've never seen one, but they're like, shake out your shoes. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they're wild. They're really shocking to look at.
And their
some
bite actually hurts you. Like it doesn't. It's not poisonous, but it will leave like a welt. So,
right, because they're big enough, it like actually physically hurts.
Yeah.
I solved this problem by not leaving my house. That's how I
After the
solved that
Table
problem.
is now an arachnid podcast. Hello.
So here's I have a take on Australia versus Florida here, and I feel like with Australia you are more likely to die from being envenomated. Like there are more venomous animals there, and the animals that are there are overall more venomous. Like numerically, there are more of them, and then the ones that are there are among the most venomous ones in the world, including like the box jellyfish, the inland taipan, the sea snake is near there. Although you may have sea snakes in Florida as well, but also the Sydney funnel web spider. Like you have all of those. But in terms of larger animals, you really only have to deal with the kangaroos and the dingoes. And those are no joke. Those will mess you up.
But they're avoidable.
But if you ask me which would I rather have, a kangaroo, dingo, or a bear, or a Florida panther, like a mountain lion.
Listen,
or
alligators?
Yeah,
sometimes
or a big
if there's
gator.
a hurricane, you go outside and there's an alligator in your pool, and you have to pay someone a lot of money to come get it. There was a water moccasin one time in a pool that my partner was in it. My partner like went outside to jump into the pool and was like, "What's that? Do you guys have a little like hook thing on the bottom of your pool?" No, it was a water moccasin, and they jump out of the water like fully airborne, like palmetto bugs. Like no,
That's not good.
Nothing in Florida needs to be here.
Yeah.
I get that it should because
To
it's
include
alive.
old
It's an
people.
animal. Honestly.
I think that's the number one killer in Florida is old people driving.
Genuinely, it is a death trap here. So that's okay because I do everything online.
Hey,
I'm all right. I'll live forever in this house.
hell yeah. So we discussed this before we went live. Candace has been on the podcast, was in season 1, and I feel like if I don't have Candace on every season, the season's not going to go right.
We be cursed?
And I will be cursed.
Can I come back too? Can I be part
Yeah,
of it? Can I be added
I'm always down to like just have more people just come back and be like, you know what? Yeah, let's
if you
just
don't
have a
have
party.
me, I hereby proclaim that if you do not have me on future seasons, there'll be a problem.
A curse on your house.
A pox upon thee.
A box. But okay, so let's get serious.
Get on a track, I guess. We were not really on any track. I would say back on track, but we were never on.
I did tell y'all if a more interesting conversation comes up, my session notes are just my questions are just like my session notes. They are there to say I did work, and for my intro.
Well, I mean, you listened to the show, you knew what you were getting into, so
That's true. That's true.
They're guidelines. They're not rules.
Yeah, exactly.
We're Team Barbosa here.
So I'm sure y'all have been asked this question a bajillion times. How did y'all get into TTRPGs, like individually? And then was it like something you did as kids? Was it something that came to you later in life? If you're like me, it happened because of the panini. Mm-hmm. So,
okay, Candace, I went first last time. Do you want to go first this time?
Sure. I've always wanted to play TTRPGs, but never had anyone to play them with because, like, I was both a girl and black, and that's weird for people. For one of those two things, weird. Then finally, when I was like, I also like more than boys, that was like a third thing, and that's like way too many things when you're a kid, right? So nobody wanted to play with me. I found out about Vampire the Masquerade. My mom saw the book and was like, this is too sexy. I don't know what this LARPing is, but you're not going into the wild to meet people and do this kind of thing. No, absolutely not. Not my child. You can read about this all you want, but you will not go in person, Candace McPhee. And I was like, all right, calm down. I'm not, like, I wasn't going to do anything. It's role playing. It's not a big deal. Lo and behold, I grew up and I'm like, oh, people fuck all the time at LARP. I guess she was pretty fucking smart not to let me go to the LARP at like 16. Fair enough. But I didn't have any kind of outlet for this sort of thing. I was in theater and stuff as a kid and did acting and all that, but I didn't really have like a place to put that energy. And then I started working at an advertising agency, and somebody who sat behind me in the cubicle next to mine, he is a prominent GM for Savage Worlds, and was like, hey, me and a couple of people are getting a game together. We're going to play in the conference room upstairs, like the big fancy conference room upstairs in this advertising agency, once a week or once every other week. Are you down? And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try. Like, why not? And like the first session I was done. Like that was it. Like it took one session for me to be like, I need to do this forever. This is awesome. This is the best thing I've ever done in my life. And I had a great time. And then when the pandemic hit, that's when I first started GMing, because he was working on Savage Pathfinder and didn't have the time to GM anymore. So I ran a campaign for 2 years. And then right before the campaign ended, he had a streaming opportunity with Savage Worlds to run Savage Pathfinder now that it was an officially licensed product. And they asked me to be in it, and that was my first stream. And then it was kind of just going after that, like realizing that I really loved performing, realizing I really, really, really loved putting together characters and occupying the space and like psyche of a person that's different than me. That was something that I didn't realize that I needed it in my life. The arts down here are very difficult. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, so there's like a medium amount of arts on a small scale. In Miami, you really have things open up a lot more, but that's like 45 minutes away and traffic is terrifying. So I haven't really explored like local stuff because it's very time prohibitive. So it's been really great being able to do a lot of this online and meeting awesome people online as well in the process.
Should I jump in? I feel like
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were like commenting on the story that you just told, or if it was now just me coming in hot. Okay, so
Go in there.
I had never played a TTRPG until I was in college, when a friend of mine who is a game designer had me play his game Paradox Perfect, which is a time travel TTRPG. I played that a couple of times in college, and then nothing else for like another 6 to 8 years, until a friend from drama school, because I left that college and went to England to go to drama school, and then graduated from drama school, and a friend from drama school was like, hey, while I was on tour with a show, was like, hey man, I really want to play D&D. I want to get a group together. Let's make a character. And I was like, okay. And I'd heard of Dungeons and Dragons. And in fact, earlier that same year, I had some ex-classmates that I was like, hey, I found out that they had played D&D and they had a D&D campaign, and I was like, oh, can I get in on this? And they were like, no, we don't have any spots open, but you know what, check out Critical Role because it's a really cool show and maybe that'll teach you how to play. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And then a few months later, my friend is like, hey, I want to set up a D&D game. Let's do this thing. And I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And so I was like, I think my first character was named Greeble Longpike, and he was a deep gnome druid, and our DM was an anti-racist skinhead. He is a skinhead who only beats up other skinheads. And it wasn't even actually D&D, it was Pathfinder, because I guess he liked Pathfinder more than D&D. So we were playing D&D characters in a Pathfinder adventure, but in that one adventure with that anti-racist skinhead, I was hooked. I really liked it. And so my friend who invited me in the first place started DMing his own campaign, and I made another character, a changeling, and then a few months later, was like, you know what, I want to start running my own games. So I got him and then some other friends from drama school and started a campaign. And then the day after we held our first session, I started rehearsals for a show. And one of the people in that show was Jasper William Cartwright, who ended up founding 3 Black Halflings with me about a year later, in fact. And so I went to the rehearsals and was like, hey, everybody, have any of you played D&D? And one of them was like, I played a little bit. And I think Jasper was like, I played like one time, like a long time ago. And I was like, well, we should do a campaign on the as part of the cast. And they were like, okay. And so we got together, and throughout the run of the show, we had a campaign going. And when the pandemic hit, we brought that campaign back. And of course, Jasper got hooked big time during that process, and actually had started running his own campaign, which I was a part of in the months between that show ending and the pandemic starting. And then during the pandemic, we brought back that campaign, Jasper and I now as co-DMs. And then that during that process, Jasper was like, hey man, you know how we're having such a fun time running this game and talking about it? Well, what if we made a show out of this? And I looked online, and I went on YouTube, and I looked up Black D&D, and there were only like a couple of things that came up. It was like the Terry Crews Critical Role guest appearance, and like maybe one or two other sketches or something. And maybe there's a gap in the industry here. And then I was like, okay. And this just so happened to be summer of 2020, which of course there was the subject of civil rights was very much on people's minds, and racism. So we were like, why don't we talk about our experiences in this, and specifically to come at this from the perspective of Black people playing D&D and engaging in the fantasy world. And yeah, that was how 3 Black Halflings was born, and everything just kind of spun off from there.
That's amazing. Also, I love the fact that you both were playing Pathfinder instead of D&D at the beginning of it all. It's just like, oh yeah, we just want to play Pathfinder instead. Usually the catalyst is like, oh, D&D.
Mm-hmm. And then
but
Pathfinder.
I love and then Pathfinder or Vampire. In my case, I went from D&D to Vampire, which is
very different.
Very, very different.
Different.
The mood different, completely not the same.
Yeah,
Honestly,
they scratch different itches.
Yeah, I agree. I also wouldn't I feel like I feel like even saying that I'm like a Pathfinder player, I have such a hard time wrapping my head around it, because the rule set is Savage Worlds. It's just the universe that Pathfinder has, and like all the NPCs and all that stuff, like it's all like set in Pathfinder, but it's not like actual Pathfinder rules. So when I jumped into Pathfinder, I was like, I'm ready. I was not ready at all. But if anybody is like hard into Pathfinder out there, there is an NPC that's in the Pathfinder universe. I can't remember what her name is. She's from Magnamar, and she is beautiful. But if you know of a person, a Black character, who is an NPC and is from Magnamar, she's gorgeous, and I wrote a song about her. I was so in love. That was like the first song that I think I ever liked.
That's amazing.
Aww.
Yeah, when I realized that I could write music for the first time. It was because I played a bard in that campaign, and her name is Whimsy Thistledown. She uses all pronouns. They're very handsome. He's very rakish. But
as a bard should be.
Thank you. My GM used to be delighted by people doing fancy things in Savage Worlds. If you do something awesome that delights the GM or delights the players, you get a Benny. And which is like a free reroll. It's, you can say that you were prepared. Oh, I had a flashlight in my bag this whole time. You can get a new card when you do your initiative, when you have like your initiative deck and all that stuff. So to get the Benny, I used to do the notes. Like, I'm a very big notes person. I'm that dork. Especially like if it's a game online, I have a harder time. But if it's a home game, especially, like I'm the notes keeper, right? I'm your librarian. And so I used to keep all the notes for everybody. And one day I was like, man, I've been watching a lot of Witcher. You should write a parody song that's like actually about the campaign. So I did like a recap of our last 2 sessions, but as a Witcher song. And that was like the first song that like I ever really kind of came up with for real, like as a parody song, which I've done several since, and it's gone quite well. And then I wrote a theme song for Whimsy, and then an ode to the beautiful woman in Magnemar.
Yeah. That's so cool. I wish I could sing. I don't have that talent. No. Anybody's like, karaoke? I'm like, no.
Yeah, but
I don't drink like that anymore, so no.
It's more fun if you are going for joy and not sound. If you're going with the amount of joy, right? Like you do when you do drag, right? Like
yeah. I just pretend I sing.
Yeah.
I mush my mouth together and I pretend I'm singing. That's.
I will say though, I could totally see the next time you go to karaoke, if you want to like have a workaround, sing close to the end of the night. You can drag your way through that performance because other people will sing it for you, especially if you sing something like Queen.
Oh yeah,
like
Sweet Caroline. I'll just Sweet Caroline it.
You don't have to sing anything. Just look good. Smile.
End of the night, Sweet Caroline. There you go.
Good
or
gestures.
like a Jimmy Buffett song.
That right
something
there.
Like
yeah.
Even
is
Stairway to
Wonderwall
Heaven,
big at karaoke?
Stairway. Huh?
Is Wonderwall big at karaoke? I almost never go
probably.
do karaoke.
The last time I went to karaoke, someone requested Four Non-Blondes, but sang Wonderwall to What's Up by Four Non-Blondes, and I was so impressed. She killed it.
That's
I was like,
amazing.
I don't usually tip at karaoke because it's not that kind of party, but like, here's a drink, friend. Wow.
That's amazing.
Shelly, I like singing, but I also don't like karaoke. So I'm halfway in between you and Candace.
I hum.
It's fun.
I will hum.
Yeah, I like singing. I like singing either part of a show or like if I'm specifically performing for somebody in a specific context, something that I've rehearsed. I do not find the prospect of getting up and doing karaoke fun. I find it very stressful and nerve-wracking because I haven't prepared. For me, the fun of it is doing a good job. So if unless I know that I'm going to absolutely tear this up, why am I doing this? So I don't like doing it very much. It's not very much fun for me.
I just know I sound like utter and complete crap. That I've recorded myself singing and I'm like, oh no, girl, don't know. Singing is not for you. It's okay. It's not for everyone. I'll hum along. I'll just clap when people are do the little hand wave.
I have to say, it's okay. It's not for everyone. That is something that I wish more people that used AI art would think.
Ooh. Yeah.
You don't have to be an artist. There are people out there that'll do that for you, baby.
Also, it is if it's something that you really want to do,
Go practice.
Even just for fun. Yeah, you can just practice it. Like,
Absolutely.
I think communal singing can be for everybody. Like, singing as part of a group can be really fun if you're having a good time being joyful together. Same thing with drawing.
Exactly.
Like, even if you're bad at drawing and painting and different things like that, you can still have fun making things for yourself.
Yeah.
And then,
dancing.
Yeah, same thing.
Making videos.
Yeah, and over time, you'll probably get better at it. It probably inevitably get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the sheer fact that you just don't want to make an ass out of yourself.
That part.
Yeah.
You don't have to resort to a robot.
Yeah. That was my approach starting TTRPGs. Keep doing it until it's good. You'll get there.
Exactly. And if at first you don't succeed, try, ask for help, and try again.
Absolutely.
I will say this because 1, this is my podcast, and 2, this is my opinion, and 3, most of the time I think I'm right. I consider Three Black Halflings as like a cultural staple in the TTRPG and AP space.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think I'm not the only one. How did y'all create that space to make sure that when people are like APs or like TTRPGs that, you know, podcasts that you want to listen to, like y'all are on the tip of people's tongues, like on the list?
Well, I can speak to this a little bit. I think it's a combination of factors. I think part of it is there aren't a lot of other people that do specifically what we do. There are other shows that do APs. There are other shows that do interviews. There are other shows that do GM player tips. But there are very, very few shows that do all of those things. Possibly none. I'm not aware of any other ones that do all of those things. Mm-hmm. And I think that the fact that we already fill that niche means that, number one, there's a lot of different reasons that you can listen to the show. So if you are there specifically because you want to hear interviews, you can just listen to the interviews. If you enjoy hearing discussions of GM and player tips, or just even talking about nerd stuff, you can listen to that. And if you like the APs, you can listen to that. Or you can listen to all of them. So that's like a niche that we fill that nobody else quite does. And it also means that we're sort of diversified in that way. Also, I think the perspective of it being an all-black podcast also is pretty unique. There are other all-black enterprises in TTRPGs and all POC enterprises in TTRPGs, but not doing the same stuff that we're doing. Usually it'll be like an all-black AP something or other, or all POC AP. It's very rare that you will have an all POC or all-black discussion podcast. So I think those, and we really started as a talk show primarily, and then added the AP stuff a few months in, and that was sort of a gradual process. But that was really how it started, was us talking about our experiences initially and our perspectives, and giving player tips and GM tips and stuff like that. And then we started having guests on to do interviews. And then around that same time, we started running games as well. And that originally was just like like a monthly live stream. And it got really good. We really enjoyed it. And by the end of it, we were like, yeah, let's start releasing this more regularly and actually have a finite number of episodes and know what we're doing and make it a show. And then from there, we did our second series. Our first series was called The Cub and the Caterpillar, a Wagadu Tale. And the second series was called Outlaws and Obelisks, which by that point, we had started to make connections with a lot more people in the industry just through having them on the show. And so we were able to get guests on, like more guests for the whole run of the show, and things just sort of grew from there. That show was a big hit at the time, and we've been lucky enough to have since then a lot of really talented and wonderful people come and guest on the show on our APs or continue to do interviews and so forth. So I think it's that. And also it's the fact that it's good. I think even if we did do all of those things and it was bad, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it's the fact that we do all of those things and people actually enjoy listening to us do all of those things. And we've been doing it now for 5 years. And I think all of that combined is what has kind of made it what it is today.
Yeah. By the way, congrats on 5 years. You added a halfling recently with Candace. How did that all come about? Like, how did that conversation? What was the conversation like? Being like, we're gonna add a halfling to the Three Black Halflings, like another one.
Well, we've been banding about the idea for a while, actually. Just because we're all busy people, and it can be difficult to get everybody together, and there would sometimes be situations where we couldn't get all three of us, or sometimes two of us wouldn't be available for an episode, and so I would bring in other, like, guest people, or whoever was available that week would bring in guest people, and I think it got to a point where we were like, hey, it would be easier, and also just great to sort of refresh things with the show, because we've been going for 5 years. It'd be nice to change things up. We did switch members back in 2021 and 2022. Unati, who was originally with the show, left in late 2021, and then we brought on Liv in early 2022, but there hadn't been any real lineup shakeups since then, and we thought, hey, let's not only get a fourth person so that we can have somebody to be on air, but also, like, help refresh things a little bit since we've been going for so long. And I don't think there was really a whole lot of conversation about it. We'd had Candace on for the first time in 2024 and had really liked them. And then they filled in actually in season 2 of City of the Black Rose when one of the cast members had to pull out last minute, and were stellar in that show and had continued to fill in when other halflings weren't available. And so when it comes down to like, hey, who are we adding? Candace was the obvious answer. And we were so fortunate that they said yes.
No. I mean, that was a no-brainer. It was very easy to say yes.
I was about to say, how does it feel to be now a halfling?
Pretty weird, honestly. It's pretty weird. When I got into... so during the pandemic, everybody got into TTRPGs. I was already into TTRPGs. I had a home game, like I said. I was GMing. But I was also deeply disturbed by the murder of George Floyd and horribly traumatized and just not okay. I had started a series because everybody had to cancel their concert tickets and stuff, and I had been meaning to get serious about playing ukulele and learning ukulele, teaching myself. So I started a weekly series. Every Friday I would play 5 songs, and like I would just kind of curate themes, and I would do it on Facebook Live so people could come and hang out. It was like a community event. And after doing that for a while, I started kind of talking about burnout. Because I was still working my full-time job. My nesting partner had gotten laid off from the same advertising agency that I was working at. So we became like a one check household for a little bit. A lot of people lost their jobs during that time. It was very scary. But like part of my ability to hold it together was the reassurance that I got from like a lot of people in community with me. And it was weird because a lot of the people that were talking to me were people I hadn't talked to in forever. And some of them were in TTRPGs. So a friend of mine had reached out about this new podcast, and my partner had actually seen that same article earlier in the day. So like 2 different people came to me at like almost the same time to be like, have you heard about this? And it was 3BH and I Need Diverse Games, Tanya DePass, Cypher of Tears project. And they were like, you like TTRPGs, like maybe this is something you can do. Like, have you thought about this? Like maybe this is a thing. And I had heard of Geek and Sundry, and Critical Role was kind of like a thought in the back of my mind. I had applied for an editorial position at Geek and Sundry when they had first started, but didn't live in LA, and didn't have the cash to move out there at the time. So I think the more people started talking to me about it, the more I was like, okay, well, that means that like, where do I take this next? Like, what do I do next with this? And I started listening to 3BH, and it was hard because like when like people started going back to office, work kind of changed, like the face of work changed, and I stopped having as much time to listen. But like I would still check in, I would still keep tabs. I followed Jeremy Jasper on social, would retweet anything that they were doing. There was like a shoot your shot day back in 2023 where people were like, who would you like to work with? And I was like, 3 Black Halflings, Transplaner, Dimension 20, Critical Role. Everybody else wants to work with the same ass fucking people, but I'm gonna say it because you never know, girl. Manifest it. And I manifested. And it's crazy because like I have like dipped my fingers into all 3 of the 4 that I've talked to, which like I'm like hugely proud of that, but also like really honored. When 3BH asked me to be on the show, like I had met Jeremy, we had done a charity stream together. And it was really fun. We had a lot in common. I was a little Shire Folk Spotlight. It was awesome. Even when I was doing co-hosting, I was like, oh, I'm just filling in. I'm just helping out. I'm helping out a friend. It's no big deal, right? Like, I'm so lucky and so excited to just be engaged with the show as something other than just a fan, right? I'm still a fan, very much fan mentality. This is not mine. And I feel like it still feels like it's not mine sometimes, but like everybody's really good at reminding me like, hey, this is also your show. Like, you are on this show. This is your show. It's been very, very weird going from, oh my God, that's like the coolest shit ever. Like, these guys are so rad. Like, all of them are amazing. Falling in love with Liv, right? Like, I don't know. Just being so excited about the show. And then like, even the first session of City of the Black Rose, like Jeremy and I had become friends, so like I was a little less intimidated, but still kind of fucked up because I was like, you've GM'd for all kinds of people. Like, he had like met with Brennan Lee Mulligan like 2 weeks before and was like talking to me about GMing for Brennan Lee Mulligan, and I was like, you want me to be on what? okay, I guess. Get ready to be disappointed, finger guns, right? Like, I was like, I don't know what you want from me. I was terrified, but it was really, really cool. And I remember after the first, like, few sessions, especially once everybody was able to join, just, like, leaving the calls and, like, feeling this huge sense of community, right? Of like just really good feelings and good vibes. Like it didn't feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. It felt like I was definitely in a privileged position to have like this backstage look at these fucking people. Like Caldwell Tanner is hilarious. He's a wonderful person. Johnny is just a gem, just a delight. Obviously Jasper and Liv, like they are exactly as you would think they are. They are wonderful people. So to be able to get into a room with all of those people, and then someone I obviously already admire with Jeremy, having been at his table once before for a charity stream, like it was just so surreal. And then like I don't know, it's like a constant process of me going, you did a lot of work and the work paid off and now you're here, right? It's a lot of me reminding myself of what it took for me to be able to grow and the effort that I've poured into it. I have to kind of be present with that because it doesn't feel real otherwise. It's like really it can be very jarring. But I'm lucky to have like good people around me that like talk me up when I need those boosts to like remember like, hey, it's okay. Like you're good. Everything's fine. Don't freak out. There was a lot of freaking out in the early days.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I love the fact that, you know, one, they make you feel welcome, and also it's, you know, it's just, you're like, oh, I can actually, okay, I can breathe and be in this, be in this moment. Speaking of Brendan Lee Mulligan, how does it feel to kill him off in the first episode?
Dude, that's
well,
what I want
first
to know.
I have to say, I said this and then I realized I was muted. So I have to say, she's been killing it. Candace has been killing it ever since.
It's true.
So ever since they joined. But yeah, literally the first scene of the series.
Oh, spoilers. Sorry, spoilers.
It's
everyone.
not a big spoiler. it's the opening scene.
People will still be like, I haven't listened to it. I haven't got up. And I'm like,
well, it's too late. Go listen to it. It's good. It's good. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Absolutely go check it out though. And yeah, it was great. It was great killing him. He loved it too. He was like, you know what? If I think I pitched it to him actually, like, hey, would you like to come on the show and immediately die? Because I thought it would be funny. Not only just for him as a person to be like, yeah, sure, but also for the audience. The audience would be like, oh, Brendan's in this? And then he immediately is killed in the most gruesome way possible. And they're like, oh, no! It sends a message, I think. The goal was for that scene to send a message to the audience about what you're in for and say, like, hey, maybe not everything here is going to be scary, but it's going to be very scary and very violent and very dark. So get ready. And I think it does that. And Brennan absolutely crushed it. Actually, that was recorded back in 2022. That was recorded in late 2020. Yeah, I recorded that in late 2022. I recorded that one, and this isn't really a spoiler. C. Thomas from Transplater is also in the show, and I recorded their thing back in 2022. Both of those were recorded like years before we actually got to do the rest of the series. And part of it was because we started to record it in 2022, and then I think we ran into scheduling issues, and then weren't able to get the whole thing together again until 2024. And so it was a very delayed series, but I'm glad we got to do it. But yeah, it was great. I'd gotten to GM for Brennan once before. We got him on to play Paradox Perfect, and it was a blast then. And it was awesome to get to do a one-on-one story with him. He's extremely talented. He brought stuff to that character, especially towards the end when he narrates his inner thoughts as everything's kind of coming to a climax. I was like, I remember sitting there in the recording like, whoa, this is sick, dude, as he was like narrating. Because I love it when whenever I GM and a player just breaks off with some absolute fire descriptions or lines, I'm always like, oh, this is so sick. And he absolutely was bringing the heat in that scene. So yeah, it was great. And then the next scene is Candace. The next person that you hear is Candace. And you know what? The show doesn't get any worse. In fact, it only gets better from there. So yeah, Brennan killed it.
It only goes up.
Yeah.
It only goes up.
Yes, exactly. The ball is rolling up, and that's the only direction which it rolls. And Candace is a big part of that. Yeah, it's a really, really fun series.
Thanks.
Hey, Candace, here's your flowers.
Thanks.
Here's your flowers.
They're beautiful.
They're all black roses, funny enough.
Weirdly enough.
One of my favorites.
How do you prepare for things like projects like this? How do you prepare for, because it's an audio only podcast, how do you prepare both as a GM and as a player for a series that is a horror based series that you're kind of like you're like, oh, it's serious now.
Yeah. Candace, do you want to talk about player, or do you want me to talk about GMing side of it first?
Yeah, I'll talk about being a player. So for me, I feel like my story is going to be a little different than the other players in this show. Because I came in last minute, and when I say last minute, I mean like a week or two out. Like it was like right there, the next week. Which like no complaints, honestly. Like I love a challenge. So for me, my preparation really came with trying to decide like how I would fit into this existing world. This is actually a season 2. There's a season 1 of City of the Black Rose that came out previously. That's a shorter series, like a more limited series. And it sets up a lot of like Duncan's backstory, and there's a character in that that Isa plays. And unfortunately, she couldn't make it. She had like a huge work event that she was just unable to reschedule and get out of. So I was like, okay, well, I know that Pims is a goblin, and I believe he's a fighter, right? A goblin fighter. And
Rune Knight fighter, yeah, goblin Rune Knight fighter
is like very tough. Like there's a very interesting kind of backstory to Pims. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to like retread what Issa was going to do, right? Issa's not like she should be able to have her character. So I was like, where could I fit in this world that is like a dark, like gothic horror kind of noir setting that nobody else has, right? Because you've got Duncan, who is like part like bellhop, but also part like assassin, pugilist that's gonna like kick your ass in an alley one night, right? And has awesome like weird powers. And then you've got like Bill Wop, who's like a real nice, kindly police officer, and right. And then you've got Angela, who's Liv's character, who is like this powerhouse, like femme fatale, right? So I'm like, okay, all of these are beautiful and brilliant archetypes. Who the fuck are you playing? And I was like, what if you just actually make a weird little guy? You're going in to support. You're going to be a support player probably because everybody else already has their vibe. They already have their energy, right? Two of the people that are in this were in the last season. They already have everything set up for them, right? The other 2 people that are going to be in it have already played with them multiple times. Like, see what happens, right? Be a weird little guy. So I made a weird little guy. I was like, I want to be a mortician because I feel like that is an essential job. I like in horror and noir going for very essential jobs. I think that those are some of the coolest moments in horror movies because you have someone who's an expert who knows what they're about and knows what's going on. So when something awful happens outside of that worldview, that's when things get fucked up, which is like part of the reason Ghostbusters is good, right? Because like all those dudes are like scientists, right? They're not coming at it from like a hokum perspective. They're coming at it from like a grounded in science. We have made actual proton packs, right? That scientifically work on ghosts. So even though it's like sci-fi, it's still rooted in reason. So I was like, I think I want to do that. Something that's rooted in reason. So I did a lot of research on mortuary science. And then I started trying to decide, well, what does that look like when you have magic? Because I don't think that's like there was really no basis for comparison for that for me. So I started thinking about mortuary sciences and what that means and how Hecate would do the things that she did. I am very much a vibes-based player of D&D. I will not pick the coolest area effect. I will pick the thing that makes the most sense for her to have. So I was like, mending. She's got to have mending. Gonna stitch somebody up. Easy. Next slot, right? Like next spell. So all of my spells were very much vibes-based. And I think like from there, it was really just trying to forget as much as Jeremy had told me about the campaign because I was not in it. So when he would need somebody to be like, oh, I did something cool last night, he would come and talk to me about the cool thing. And I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. Wow, this is what I did that was cool. So we would like talk GM, like shop. And when I got at the table, I was like, oh no. You know a regretful amount about this campaign. What are you going to do? But I didn't factor in how much my character would change the story. Like, all the ways in were different. All the places that we ended up exploring were different because of me, like, and because of where my house was. It didn't occur to me how far outside of the original story I would end up taking us. Even Jasper, like, having Shadowheck, that's not planned at all. Like, Jasper, as Duncan, was like, I'm going to be a little shithead. I'm going to be so silly. Look at me being goofy. And then what happens, happens. I'm not going to say too much, but what happens, happens. And I think it was a surprise to everybody. So, like, none of that was written in, right? That was never a part of the plan. So it ended up being just really interesting and really, really good. Like, such a great campaign. The chemistry was fantastic. And then furthermore, like, at the table, like, as you're playing, it's important for me anyway to create character growth. And I told Jeremy that's one of the things that I really need in my gameplay is character growth. I usually build it into my characters, but a GM can really help you take that even further. A great GM can help you take it as far as you want. So that's essentially what Jeremy did for my character. He just, like, let me take it as far as I wanted. And there were a bunch of things that didn't come up in that season that if we are greenlit for a season 3, you will probably see a lot of.
And I can say from the GM side of things that I think my initial thought process when doing a season is to think usually of some kind of an angle, roughly a very, very basic angle of how I'm going to approach it. Assuming that I've already created the world, which in this case I had because I'd originally made it for a home game. What is an angle that we can use to tell a story about this? What is something we can do? And you don't have to listen to season 1 before listening to season 2. But if you do listen to season 1, you'll get a little bit of additional background information. You'll have a better idea of like why certain things are happening. Although, again, in season 2, you can just you can just listen to season 2 and it's fine. But if you listen to season 1, there are like storylines and character arcs that we could say, okay, where do we take those individual characters? Because the next step is for me the characters and figuring out the cast. Once we have sort of a basic angle, then we have to figure out who the actual characters are going to be, because really, especially when it comes down to an AP, but even just for a home game, the characters and their choices should form the meat of the story, and do form the meat of the story. People don't usually make fan art, as much fan art, for example, of the NPCs or of the world as they do of the characters. And also, I always say this, the most important is especially when you're playing D&D, while the most powerful / influential single individual at the table may be the DM, the most important element and most powerful group or person as a collective would be the players. The players ultimately have more influence on the story and the tone and the feel than the GM does. Whatever the GM's trying to do, the players can either enhance it or undermine it or, change things. So it's figuring out who we wanted for the cast. And we were mostly bringing back the same people as last time. There was one cast change initially because of some stuff that happened in season 1. And then we had the last minute character switch with Candace. And so it was a matter of, from there, figuring out, okay, where are each of the characters going? What is the storyline what is the journey that these characters are going on right now? And so I had meetings with the individual players and was like, where would you like to see your character go? Here's what I think. They would say, here's what I think. And we go back and forth and have ideas. And then from there, I'd be like, okay. I'd be percolating. Another thing that I did for this season that I hadn't done before and hadn't really seen done before was we had these vignettes. So we talk about Brennan being in the show. He is one of numerous vignettes that happen at the beginning of episodes that feature guest players coming in and telling individual stories that may or may not tie in directly with the main story. Some of them appear in the main story. Some of them don't. One of them, I think, is described in a single sentence and then never mentioned again in the main story, and nobody registers it in the moment. And then later on, when you hear their side of it, you're like, oh, hey, oh, wait, what? There's one instance where it's like you hear a story and it's like, oh, it immediately becomes very relevant to the main story. So, but my thinking in doing that was partly I want to play with a bunch of people and there's only so many slots we can have for a cast. So it'd be great to get more people in there. Partly because it's about the feeling of being in a city and the feeling of there being other people who are around you, maybe interacting with you, maybe you're looking at them, maybe you're in the same room and neither of you look at each other at all, but they have their own story going on. And whether or not your stories cross paths, the fact that you are sharing the same ecosystem means that you are affecting each other. And it also gave us the opportunity to include a lot more emotional tones. So City of the Black Rose is mostly a mixture of like crime drama with some comedic elements and then some strong horror elements. It's not like I don't like one note stories unless it's like a short thing, but for a series, I like to have a lot of flexibility in terms of the tone. I like there to be really fun action sequences. I like there to be really intense and dramatic sequences. I want there to be romance. I want there to be tragedy. I want there to be triumph. I want all of that stuff. But having the vignettes means we can just have like a straight up horror story, or we can have like a straight up mad scientist story, or we can have a story about a person who started out in like a lowly position but has killed their way to the top of a corporation and now finds himself in a world that they really weren't built for and they're now having to adjust to. Or we can have a story about a guy running a magical hotel. Or we can have a story about an ancient fae who's been around for hundreds of years and has seen things and tries to influence them. And it's sort of a story about the passing of time and how the generations passing influence how like the power of the earlier generations is sort of passed on to the later generations. There's a lot of different stories that we can tell. And so that was an element, like in terms of finding the people to bring in for that and then planning each of those out and seeing which ones could or couldn't tie in. And because I recorded C's one early on, because Brennan's was always supposed to be the beginning. It was always supposed to be like, this death happens and that kicks off the storyline. But with C's, it was like, I didn't know how that was going to end, and neither did C. And then when we got to the end of it, and I was like, okay, well, that was bigger than I expected, so that's going to need to be factored in. So that ended up affecting the plot. But yeah, it was a matter of like building out a rough skeleton of a story, and then with the players, once we actually start playing, figure out how we actually get to all those places, and figuring out how things actually unfold. In this particular season, there were, I believe, like 4 major signpost events that were going to happen regardless of what the characters did, but it was a matter of getting the characters to those places in a way that feels organic and compelling, and then seeing how they interact with those events and seeing how those events unfold as a result of their actions and how things go. So a lot of it is like you find out when you actually start doing it, because ultimately, no matter how much I plan, I can't write the season. I can write an idea for the season, and I can write themes for the season and things that I want to highlight, but I can't write all the events. So that's I think the beauty of the actual play genre is that when you actually get with the players, that's when you find out what really happens. There were whole like sections of story that just never even happened because of choices that people made. And it's like, yeah, all right, sounds cool. And what we ended up with, I think, was really awesome. So yeah, that's my approach. There's also a discussion of like when I talk about the angle that I'm approaching, I also will talk a lot about themes. I haven't historically talked as much about that with the players, although I think I want to start doing that more going forward, is talking specifically about what the themes of this particular season are. And people can be like, okay, this is how I want my character to intersect with those themes, or how I want my character to exemplify aspects of those themes, or even here are additional themes that I'd like to incorporate with my character into the story. So yeah, I would say that's pretty much, there's a pretty comprehensive description of how I did it and how I tend to do it.
That's great. I'm taking little notes. Also, as somebody who was a guest in a vignette for another AP that Candace was in. Candace, I think you have a
Yes.
theme going now with some of the APs that you're in. With Ed Spence for the Wounded Warrior Project, Shadows of Gotham. I love a good vignette.
Oh my god.
I was just like, oh, this is how, and like each vignette told a different story and had a different feel to it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I really love that as a mechanic. Like, I've been inspired both by Jeremy's storytelling and Edward's, honestly. Like, it's so interesting how both shows have different ways into the vignettes as well, right? Like,
True.
I feel like Edward's weave directly into the story because, like, we would interact with some of those people, whereas Jeremy's are more like, meanwhile, in Mavros, right?
on this side of the town, yeah.
And I really like both effects because you get such a very full sense of the world that you're in. And I hope to honestly put that in something that the second season of something that I'm working on right now. When that comes out, I'm like looking at vignettes like.
Yep.
Plus, it's a great way to like work with people you really want to work with. Like I spoke with Ed about how he and Sam chose all of the special guests last season, and it was very much just like, who do I want to work with that I haven't had a chance to yet, right? Or that I love working with and know is going to come through for me. So I wasn't surprised
when I got
to see
that
your name.
email. I was like, ugh, yes,
yeah, excellent.
And they're like, hey, who do you want to play? And I was like, Poison Ivy.
Don't be ridiculous. That's the answer.
Poison Ivy.
Who else?
I was like, Poison Ivy. Oh gosh, what's the other one that's like canon to the Batman world? And I can't remember. Punchline.
That's
I
a
wanted
deep
to play
cut.
Punchline. Yeah. I was just like, hey, do you want to have like a psycho on your table? I will do that. I practiced laughs. That's how bad it was. I was just like, if I get to be Punchline.
I'm not familiar with Punchline. Who's
She's
Punchline?
newer. She's basically a replacement for Harley. She's like Joker times 2, times like 5. She's ruthless. She is ruthless. So yeah, she's in a few comics recently, but I found out about her and I was like, oh,
Yeah, that's very fresh.
very nice. But speaking of City of the Black Rose, you had quite the successful Kickstarter recently with raising over £100,000 and having over 1,500 backers. How does it feel to have something that you've worked on for the past several years as just like a homebrew thing come to an AP and then like, you know, come to a Kickstarter where people are, same with myself, like wanting to enjoy your content and like bring it into their own tables?
It's wild. It's really weird because I never really planned on making it any sort of publicly available setting. It was, I just thought it would be rife for stories, and that was why we did it on the show. But it was really Jasper who like spearheaded the idea to make it a book. I was like, I mean, I guess, yeah, it'd be cool. But I was, when it actually has happened, now that it's like when it was happening and I started to actually meet with Roll and Play Press, it was like, wow, okay, yeah, okay. And I've never made a book before. So it's just been a process of working with them and coming up with a lot more stuff, because I usually world build only to try and have enough to tell a story. Like recently, they asked me, hey, is there a name for the world that Mavros is on? The City of the Black Rose. And I was like, no, not a single person has asked in 5 years of playing. I've run however many campaigns. No one has ever once asked that question. So no, there is no name. They're like, oh, okay. There's like major questions that no one has ever asked. Nobody ever says, hey, is Mavros like, what is Mavros's government? And so I just never made it up because we never needed it. It was never relevant. So there's been a lot of like new creations. I've been filling in a lot of blanks. We recently actually just had a meeting today about how many districts to put in the city. Part of it's like a practicality standpoint, but also it's like, I mean, we need to have at least enough to make it feel full and big and all this stuff. But yeah, that part's been really cool and been very exciting, and getting to see stuff come to life. Like most of the stuff that I've seen so far that they've made is art. So seeing like the art that they had commissioned and seeing things, whatever, if I can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that looks like the place I've been playing in, or if I show it to my players and they say, yeah, that looks like Mavros. Like if I go to my players from my home game and say, hey, look, and they say, oh, that looks like Mavros, that to me says we've succeeded. Like that's, if it feels right, then it's really incredible. It's just an incredible feeling. It's surreal. I've always enjoyed commissioning art, and now actually having this much art, but not just art, actual text, and like we're gonna have music, and there's gonna be it's just gonna be incredible. Like even the layout of the book and everything is going going to be like on theme and on brand. And even working towards making the cover, giving feedback on the different aspects of the cover and different ideas. And I was like, at one point I was showing them photos, like period photos of different hairstyles and different things like that. It was really, really fun. So it's been a blast. And then for it to be as successful as it was is really surreal. It's just been bonkers. I've gone to now a bunch of players from my home games and been like, hey, would you like to have your characters in this book? Cause like, as it's a tribute, cause like this was made for you guys. And so that's been really cool too, and now I get to like caretake the process of putting these characters in a book that somebody else can play, and trying now to look at it even just from the idea of like making a book and being like, okay, what would I as a GM want in a book about Mavros? Another thing that got brought up was the idea of religion. Religion has always been a theme in home games, but it rarely came up in public games, and it was originally created as a D&D setting, so we just used a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff. But now we wanted to make it, I wanted to make it specifically more agnostic, system agnostic, so we stripped like the Forgotten Realms lore out of it, and I've had a whole new, like I've come up with a whole new way of approaching religion in this setting, and it's really fun. Like, it's been really exciting, and every time I come up with like a new part that makes me really excited, I'll always like, a lot of times I end up messaging Candace and be like, yo, check out this thing I just made up about the religious system in Mavros, it's really cool. And then Candace is like, yeah, it is cool. I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'll send it to some more people, and they'll also be like, that's sick, dude. I'm like, yo, and I just get really excited. So it's been a lot of that.
I'm a big fan of not having to fuck with writing things down yourself, though. I love that part. Every time Jeremy's like, yeah, Roleplay Press is making it so easy, I just, like, sent them a 45-minute voice note. I was like, can I do that? Does somebody want to hear my 45-minute ruminations other than my friends that I forced to have personal podcast-length voice notes in Discord?
Yeah, I am actually gonna be writing some parts of it specifically, but the vast majority of it has just been voice notes of me just being like, okay, so here's some ideas for holidays, here's some ideas for this particular district, here's some ideas for, I recently came up with like a whole thing about the economic system in Mavros and shipping and different things like that, which again never came up in any of the home games, but it's very exciting to think about for a book that somebody can tell a story involving this. They're like, oh, we can go to one of the shipping yards, and it's there's all these, it's like a building that's bigger on the inside than on the outside, and there's vast arrays of shipping portals and like ozone in the air, and they have to keep the place cool because of like all the, it's always cool because of all the energy being sucked in to power all these portals, so everybody's walking around in puffy coats, and you know, it's just exciting. And like there's vast stacks of crates. It's like the place where they put the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Indiana Jones, except bigger and louder. That's I was like, yeah, this is so cool. But yeah, it's been really, really fun getting to create all of that stuff, and also talk with them, and they'll be like, hey, do you want to write this part? And I'll be like, okay. It's been, I just feel like a kid, a lot of like jumping and clicking my heels right now.
That's so cool. I feel like that's a GM's dream. Maybe, I don't know, as somebody who's also building a world of their own, because somebody was just like, I really want to know more about this, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, yes, every time I talk about this, it makes me feel good inside. Also, you said something about music. Are we getting Candace written music maybe in this?
I don't know. Candace, have you branched out into writing, like, composing full orchestral full band pieces?
Bill, believe it or not, Bill Wapwunkel, Officer Bill Wapwunkel, that's our house musician.
Yeah, Jonathan Charles.
Yeah, Jonathan Charles.
3BH's resident
Fantastic.
bard.
That's right.
Who was also in the cast of the show where I met Jasper William Cartwright.
He was also in the
I met them the same day.
Yeah. So he's wonderful. Absolute gem. If you've listened to the show and you've heard Bill Wap, Johnny himself is not far off. Equally delightful.
Yeah, he wrote the theme song. He wrote the theme song for the setting. He wrote pretty much all the theme song for all of our shows, actually. Johnny's incredible.
Good. His taste is fantastic. And I think that these new tracks that people are going to get is part of that. But I have noodled on like song approaches for how I feel about the show. Like, I've written like little poems and stuff, like little notes and stuff. So we'll see. Ooh. I've not, it's weird. Like, some people, I think whenever I think about other people writing music and the way that their approach is, I'm like, that's not my approach. You're not a musician. But then one day I'm like, a thought has crossed my mind. And I'll like hum it into my little vocal recorder on my phone or something, and then think about it for a while. And sometimes I do something with it. Most of the time I don't, because I get too scared. But recently, I wrote like a song that wasn't a parody song, and it wasn't about nerd stuff. It was like a genuine, like, personal song from the heart. And I was like, what the fuck? So sometimes things happen to me that I'm doing that I'm like, I don't know how I got here. So I'm hoping that that'll happen with this, because I would love to have an original song for City of the Black Rose that's like about Mavros,
so
or
cool.
about the journey we've been on, or something. I don't know. I'm trying to find a way in. Yeah.
Interesting. I can't wait. I can't wait. Speaking, you mentioned system agnostic. Speaking of which, it's now Daggerheart compatible.
Yeah.
Because whenever it got announced, it was like 5e, and I was like, sweet, I'll totally do that. But then whenever it launched, it was like 5e and Daggerheart. I was like, oh shit. So how does it feel to like have like a Darrington Press, Roll and Play Press, who we absolutely love both, but I've been able to work with Roll and Play Press a couple of times for some charity stuff that I've done, and amazing people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's rolled into Narrative Telephone and getting, big, shout outs and things like that.
That's been
what
bonkers.
is that feeling like?
Yeah, it's really cool. So I had always wanted it to be system agnostic. I never wanted to tie it to D&D if you were going to make it a publicly available setting. And it's not just D&D and Daggerheart. It's really any fantasy or even horror RPG. You can probably find a way to make it work with the Mavros setting, or at least take elements of Mavros and plug them into your existing games. And that's been really fun to go through. But yeah, somebody said this. I didn't realize it when we first were doing this, that we were technically the first people to kickstart a third-party project for Daggerheart. Like, I think our project was the first third-party project for Daggerheart that was kickstarted. And
actually, yeah.
I think our two-shot that we did that got put on the Darrington Press YouTube page, I think that was the first it was either the first or one of the first third-party Daggerheart APs, which we did not plan it that way, but it happened, and it's extremely cool.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. I love that system. I think it's a really, really fun system. I think it works excellently with City of the Black Rose. I think the hope and fear mechanics just work great with a setting that is darker toned and has more potential for horror and just bad things happening. The idea of, when it comes to, like, especially the noir vibes of the City of the Black Rose, the idea of fatalism, that things can only ever get so good, and you have these dice that sort of ensure that to an extent, where it's like, oh, even if they're good, you can still have fear, and like you succeed with fear, and it's like, oh, so you don't quite get what you want. You get what you want, but it's not as good as you wanted. Like, there's different things like that. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Candace, what was it like for you as a player, kind of converting your character from D&D over to Daggerheart and playing in that system?
So it was pretty easy, honestly. One of the things that I really think helped me kind of get in the zone a lot easier, because, like, obviously, the character I built is a Shadar-kai, which is a D&D ancestry. Then, like, the Shadow Sorcerer component, also very heavily D&D. Like, a lot of Hecate's flavor came off of my mind, but also, like, when I was collaborating with Jeremy to try and find, like, what was going to be the best, he was also able to, like, offer me ways in to do what I wanted to do. So finding a different way to do what I want to do was definitely a little bit of a challenge at first. I was a little bit daunted when I looked at it, because I was like, none of this really feels like what I want. But then when I realized that it's actually a very modular system, and you can kind of pick and choose and take what you want from different, like, archetypes. And now I'm going to say the wrong word. It's not archetype, and it's not classes. What is the word that they use, Jeremy?
They use classes in Daggerheart.
Is it classes? Okay.
Yeah.
So
they have your origin or your background as well.
Yeah.
And your experiences.
Yeah. So I think the experiences are really what helped me tailor the most, because I was like, well, there's not as many options as in Dungeons and Dragons. But one of the things that, like, I complain about, because I'm a Savage Worlds player, right? That's really where I'm coming from, is, like, the pressure to not make a character that is similar to another character. In Dungeons and Dragons, even though there are a million options for spells and things like that, and, like, feats, it's really easy to make a character that functions the same way as another character, right? It's really easy to overlap a bunch of your cantrips. It's easy to overlap a bunch of your first and second level spells. Like, it can be difficult. Like, even between classes, like, if you have a druid and, like, a wizard, right, and the wizard has access to a bunch of druid spells, you might be fucked at your table, right? So I think for Daggerheart, it's kind of similar to Savage Worlds in that respect. The spells aren't as Savage Worlds' magic system isn't as colorful. That's definitely a system that's more rooted in sci-fi and like action adventure kind of stuff. They do have a compendium for powers that kind of deepens gameplay, but they're base like kind of core rules, not as exciting for magic spells as I think Daggerheart kind of allows you to, especially because the trappings aren't part of the cost of the spell like they are in Savage Worlds. Instead, in Daggerheart, you just say what it looks like, right? It's very role play focused and role play friendly, which I love. Savage Worlds is too, just to a different degree with their magic system. But part of what I loved about Daggerheart were the experiences, which if you've ever played Fate, it feels very similar to that, where you're making kind of broad strokes of like titles or phrases, right, that get strung together that explain who you are. So, for example, in D&D, there were things that I could do with dead people specifically, whereas when I was making Hecate, I didn't necessarily have things that were part of my class abilities specifically that relied on death or dying, because the class that was more associated with that was not the class that I had chosen for the bulk of what I needed for my character, but I was still able to get the bonuses for that through the experience, because I was like, jaded city coroner turned small business owner mortician. So, like, that's diplomacy, that's dealing with, family members and people that are upset, that is bureaucracy, right? That's like a bunch of different skills that fall out of that experience that Hecate is bringing to the table. And I feel like it made it really, really easy for me to just kind of laser focus in on who she is. This next season, if we get greenlit for it, it would be in Daggerheart, I believe, right, Jeremy? So, as a Daggerheart series, that... they have new play materials that I've looked at.
Void.
The Void is
the Void.
Awesome. The Witch is awesome. I feel like I've got just a glut of options to faff about and make something really rad, and make an even more interesting Hecate, because there are some changes. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that things haven't been the easiest for the citizens of Mavros after the end of season 2. So we're doing what we can out there. But yeah, I think that I'm really looking forward to season 3, because I feel like the new finalized materials from Darrington are really going to just like hone what I've already succeeded at making. Getting to play them getting to play them within the world of Mavros in that Daggerheart 2-shot that we did with Darrington Press, I think was kind of like the opening of the door, right? Like the walking to the running. But I feel like the real running is going to start in season 3 now that I have like all these options. Like, the worst thing anybody could have done was give me more wicked, ridiculous, creepy, strange, weirdo options. And Critical Role was like, it's fine. Here, be your weird little freak. And I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Thank you.
She's been through so much, and now it's time to grow up and figure her shit out. So they're going to be a much weirder, much freakier little guy.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Based on the conversations that I've had with prospective cast and so forth, season 3, when it eventually happens, will be significantly freakier and weirder and potentially even quite a bit darker than season 2 was. And season 2 is already a lot, so I'm excited. Yeah. I'm somebody who very much enjoys pushing things. Like, if everybody is comfortable really pushing the envelope in an area, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I always tell people when I GM for them, like, I will go as far as you want to go. If you want to go really, really far in a given direction, let's do that. I want to facilitate that. I want to make that happen. So yeah, I'm really excited for the stuff we'll get to do.
Sometimes we must be careful what we wish for, though. Jeremy was once known as
just
your
a table
friendly...
full of freaky little guys.
That's it, honestly. But you have to be careful, because if the GM is also a freaky little guy, you're in big trouble, guys. All right, it's not so fun anymore. Yeah. Jeremy was once a friendly neighborhood GM, and now he's just a GM. Okay, he's lost friendly, and he's lost neighborhood by the end of season 2. So
yep.
Yeah, Outlaws and Obelisks lost me friendly, and then this one got lost
neighborhood.
Yeah, this one lost me neighborhood.
You can have episode 9 if you want.
That definitively
the GM.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was episode 9 of City of the Black Rose season 2 that definitively lost me.
No one was
the
okay.
neighborhood. I was kicked out of the neighborhood.
Correct. We were like, you know what? You come and visit here. You don't live here.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I built the neighborhood. Well, you don't live in it anymore.
What can I tell you? I mean, your privileges have been revoked. We changed the passcode on the gate to the manor. I'm sorry.
As somebody who's also in a vampire like horror game, and it's just like the GM is just like, "Hey, I like being a freaky little guy," and I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
It's exciting until you're like, oh, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
oh, until you're neck deep in Ichor and
That-
like Fey world
That-
bullshit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't like this changeling stuff. Leave me alone.
Can I
Don't-
tell a story from a home game that just happened recently? It's from my
Ooh,
Mavericks
yes.
home game. So this is part of a flashback sequence where the characters are investigating a criminal mastermind who stole an incredibly powerful artifact, and they're getting information on his backstory. And in order for them to get the information, what we're doing is having them play as his old crew that he used to rob people with. So we're having like a flashback that takes place 500 years earlier, where they're all pulling a heist with the big bad. And as part of that, one of them they're trying, they've had to like infiltrate all of these different groups that are attending essentially like a presentation of a baby. A major couple, like a very powerful Fey couple, got married, and they're presenting their baby, and people from all these other planes are coming to venerate the baby and give gifts. And they've all like ingratiated themselves into all these different groups to try and like infiltrate together. And one of them joined with like the Dark Fey in order to try and get in. And he's like, "Oh yes, I'm a brilliant arcanist and I'm all this and that." And yeah, he's very good at his job, but he starts trying to manipulate them during the presentation ceremony, because when he catches wind of the gift that they're giving to this child, he's like, "I really want that." And like, they're here to steal it, but he doesn't want to even have to steal it. He wants to just take it. So he convinces them to I don't know how he pulled this off, but he managed to roll high enough to convince them to not give the gift to the baby, but to give a fake gift and then give the real one later. And then while they were waiting, he managed to steal the real one and replace it with a decoy from inside of somebody's pockets. Like, it was like he created, I think he's like a boggle, which is like a D&D species that you can create like little portals. And so he created a portal, put into the person's pocket, reached in, took the item, replaced it with a decoy, and then spoke to another character, another powerful Fae, and was like, "Hey, could I maybe get security clearance to enter another part of the building? Now that I already gave you this piece of advice, and I can go speak to the staff and let them know what we've done, that we're going to be giving them, that we gave a decoy, et cetera, et cetera." And this powerful Fae is so impressed with the stuff he's been pulling off that she's like, "You know what? I'm really impressed with you. I'd like to give you a gift." And he's like, "I accept." And I was like, she even said to him, like, "You don't know what the gift is." He's like, "I know, but what could possibly go wrong?" And I was like,
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, no.
What could possibly go wrong with the Fae?
So he accepted a job as her right-hand man and is going to be bound to her service in perpetuity from here on out. And he's like, the player's like, "What? No! And everybody else is like, "Dude." Like, what are you upset
What do you think she's offering? A fake queen is like, "You're impressive. I have a gift."
Great. I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah, he's like, a
I like
job
the way
isn't a
you
gift.
He's like, "Oh, she's going to give me so much Fey gold." No, she's going to give you work.
No.
Because she is the gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is it's technically a huge promotion. Like,
It is.
She's a big shot. That's huge. This is the equivalent of
my
like
God.
you meeting some rich person, like some billionaire, and then being like, "Hey, I'd like to give you a gift. I'm hiring you as my personal assistant who goes everywhere with me." And
Well-
it's like, that is probably going to pay really well.
Maybe that
So-
means that she has enough money to revive him every time he inevitably dies.
There you go. There
he's
you
gonna
go.
die so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
So much he's going to die.
So much.
Yeah. But that's what
So-
happens when you have a freaky little guy as a GM.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You said the magic word.
It cuts both ways.
I accept.
Yeah. Exactly.
You fucked around, and now you're finding out. So what's on the horizon? What's next for Three Black Halflings? What's new seasons, new games? Like, what's the plan?
Ooh, Candace, do you want to talk about something? Because we have I would say a lot of irons in the fire. Do you want me to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it, Candace?
I'll talk about a couple of things. So for our patrons, we're trying to kind of figure out how to make sure that we are kind of communicating with our community and fostering community. As you were saying, 3BH is definitely like a mainstay and a cultural staple in the industry. I feel like we want to continue to grow, though, right? We don't want to like stagnate. We want to keep kind of moving forward. And one of the things that we've tried to incorporate recently is having more conversations about intersectionality. Like, a big part of the reason that, 3BH stands out is because we have such unique perspectives on things, especially compared to other podcasts and other publications. And I think that, like, digging into that recently, like, we had a really awesome episode about Pride with me and Jeremy and Liv, since we are a queer forward, queer-led podcast and a Black-led podcast. Trying to dig into like censorship. One of our most recent episodes was about censorship and what's been going on with itch.io and Steam. Trying to get more people that are like from pop culture rather than just people that are only in the gaming space, since those things intersect so frequently. All of us are actors. We all come from an acting background. So things like that. And then also trying, like I said, to like dig fingers back into the community. So we are going to be doing a Patreon exclusive movie watch night. We'll probably end up watching Sinners. That's the one that I feel like people keep asking us to watch, and all of us love that movie anyway, so like it's like two birds, one stone. Nobody's doing work. Everybody's just showing up having a good time. So that's also an iron in the fire. I'll let Jeremy talk about like, the more kind of serious like stuff that's like happening, but that's definitely some things are going on. And I know that there may or may not be rumors of me and Liv GMing for the channel again in the future.
Yeah.
Well, Liv again and me for the first time.
Yeah. That ties in with some of the stuff that I would talk about, which is we started out as, and I guess technically the official name on some platforms is still Three Black Halflings, a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, but that's not really what we are, and it's not what we have been for years now. We've become a lot more than that, partly just because I think the show has grown, but also because talking about intersectionality and talking about like the things that we stand for, I think one of the things that we stand for is a diverse TTRPG space. And diversity does not just happen in the people making the games. It does, but it's also the kinds of games that we're able to play. And when you have a diverse array of people making games that are all doing well, the industry as a whole is going to be healthier. And this, unfortunately, D&D just has had such a monopoly over the TTRPG scene these past, I don't know, however many years, pretty much since the advent of like 5th edition and Critical Role. It's really just grabbed that top spot again in a big way, to where the point where when the OGL issue happened back in 2023, so many TTRPG companies, third-party creators, YouTubers, podcasters, so many people had their livelihoods threatened immediately. Like, a lot of the big shows were having to go to D&D and be like, hey, are things okay here? Like, what are we going to do? It threatens so many people, and that is just a sign of how over-centralized things are around D&D as a game. And so we've been, over the past few years, spotlighting more systems, and I think we want to keep doing that more and more and get into more systems, some of which will be GM'd hopefully by Candace and Liv. I think also hopefully doing a season 3 of City of the Black Rose. We're still in the process of making this book, but look, this isn't the only setting that we have for Three Black Halflings. I mentioned Outlaws and Obelisks earlier, and there are two things very much that I would like to do with that setting. That's a setting that I'd like to see not only a season 2 of, but also a book. I think that could be really cool as well. I think that both Mavros and Utarum fit niches that are not that widely served in TTRPGs. Like, certainly there are a lot of horror TTRPGs, but there are not a lot of specifically horror, urban fantasy, gothic horror, noir TTRPGs that I'm aware of, TTRPG settings. So I think that, and also like steampunk elements and all that stuff, there aren't very many that exactly feel like Mavros. And certainly there are some Western TTRPGs, but there are not a lot of Western North Africa inspired post-apocalyptic TTRPGs. The combination and the intersection of those things, I think, make those worlds feel unique and and very exciting. And I would love to do a book for that. But first we got to finish this book. But yeah, I'm very excited about that stuff. I have a slate of series that I'd love to work on, including one that we've talked about doing things for the Patreon. There may or may not be some APs, some Patreon exclusive AP appearing in the relatively near future. I would say stay tuned for that. We may have already started working on it and recording things for it. Who knows?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Who's to say?
Who's to say?
It may
Except
be
your producer and y'all.
yeah, it may be for us. It may even be for a system that is made by a friend of the show. Who's to say? And they may have given us sneak peeks at mechanics ahead of time that haven't even been fully released to the public. But who's to say? That is
No
all
one
hypothetical.
Yep.
It is a
No one
possibility.
knows.
It would be cool. It would be extremely cool
If it
all
were
those
an
things were
announcement,
true.
So
this
cool.
is the first time we've talked about it outside of our circles. But it's
Wow.
again just hearsay.
We can't say it's not an
Hearsay,
announcement.
rumors,
It's not an-
conjecture.
yeah.
All of that. All
We've
of
heard
that.
You
rumors
know.
that
Yes.
this could
We've
be
heard-
theoretically possible
Yeah,
at some
Correct.
point in the future.
Maybe.
There's murmurs on the streets.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Specifically
Susurrations.
Mavros, which is
In
kind of
fact.
Yeah,
weird.
on
that-
the streets of Mavros.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I didn't even mean to narrate it, but as the characters are walking around, they keep saying, "Hey, did you hear 3 Black Halflings maybe doing a Patreon exclusive AP? Pretty wild." And then somebody flew
That's
away.
canon, y'all, now.
Yeah.
3 Black Halflings is in Mavros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Podcasting is real in Mavros.
It sure is.
I love the idea that halflings exist as a group of people, and 3
Just-
black ones have a show. Like maybe they just meant there are just a random 3 black halflings
Yeah,
somewhere in
that's
the
true.
city who might be
Well, you
producing
see,
a show.
just people
A
say
talk
there are
radio
3,
show.
but then when you show up, there's 4, and it's confusing, but somehow it still works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the Mighty Nine. There's only 7.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
The 4 is silent.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Yes.
The 4.
It's 4
The
pronounced
4 is
3.
the 4 is in the halfling, in
Correct.
the A in the halfling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I got you. Well, this is the part of the show where I say, plug your shit. Tell people where they can find you.
Do you want to plug or should I plug? Should I plug first?
Go for it.
I'm plugging. You can find me at JeremyCobb1. That's Cobb with 2 B's, the number 1 on Twitter and Blue Sky. But let's be real, mostly Blue Sky at this point. You can also find me on Instagram at the Cobbmeister and on Twitch, twitch.tv/CasualQuestLive, where I stream games. Where I, who am not a gamer, am playing games for the first time to try and become more of a gamer. I played, Fallout New Vegas. I played Baldur's Gate 3. I played Deus Ex Human Revolution. I've been playing Jedi. I think it's Jedi Fallen Order is the full name of the game. I've been playing that. It's my first Souls-like. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus recently because of the Kickstarter and other things like that, but I'm hoping to make a comeback very soon. So go check that out as well.
You're starting with Fallen Order as your first Souls-like?
Yeah, frankly, at the suggestion of your partner.
Really?
They were like, hey,
There
you
you
should
go.
play Jedi Fallen Order, because I think I mentioned that I liked Knights
Well,
of the Old
yes.
Republic.
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Yes, I do think you should play it because you like Star Wars. I'm just saying, as your first Souls-like.
I didn't even know it was Souls-like before I started playing.
So neither did I, and that's been a problem. Let me tell you. I'm gonna have to restart that game because I got so far. Like, I don't know. In the end, it didn't even matter.
But
I
your
will. I will
your
try.
skills have deteriorated, and you have to get good again.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta figure myself out there. But I'm glad for you. I'm glad that you're enjoing it so far. If
Thank
you
you.
are, in fact, enjoying
It is.
it.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I like
It's
it.
so hard. It's so hard. Oh, that's. Did I interrupt you? Are you
No,
finished?
that was it. I was done.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Candace. I interrupt people sometimes, and I don't mean it. It's the neurodivergent tendency to be very excited about what you're saying. My pronouns are they, she, and a sprinkle of he. You can find me at the Candace Marie on Blue Sky, at Candace the Magnificent, everywhere else, except for Twitter. Again, yeah, right. I can be found in a variety of places. Right now, I guess I'll plug, since we're talking about video games, I'll plug Monaco 2, which is a sequel to the hit Monaco 1 by Pocket Watch Games. I play Una the Brute in that one, as well as if you want to contribute to a charity and to mutual aid, a friend of mine at CLB Games made Banshee, Bansidhe, which is a narrative walking sim that's all about Irish resistance and trans joy. All of the proceeds go to trans and Palestinian relief funds, and I did all of the voice direction and casting for that, as well as the narration of the Banshee and one of the graves that you will read in the game. It is fully voice acted, actually. I think we have over 20 voices contributed to that project. I'm very proud of it. You can also find me over on Wayward Autumnal, which is a podcast for Blackwater D&D and a visual podcast, an audio, I guess a visual drama, AP for No Man on No Man's channel, A Haunting Beloved, which is on Numinous Productions. That is a Bluebeard's Bride short limited series, as well as Bloomin' Blight. And Partial Veil, which is an audio drama. All of those have been nominated for New Jersey Webfest. I am very, very lucky and very pleased and proud to be on those teams. And then obviously you can hear me on Three Black Halflings. Our listenership is pretty solid. We have a lot of fans that are returning, but if you've been needing a reason to go and check out 3BH, think of it as your neighborhood black friends. The 3 to 4 black friends that you have that will tell you exactly how they feel about issues without you having to worry about them being like weird about hurting your feelings because we don't actually know you. To me, it's a really good way to engage with our stuff. I'm really proud of the things that we have made thus far. I'm proud to be on the team. So yeah, if you guys have, an extra 45 minutes to an hour of time once a week or, a couple times a month to listen to us, just toss us a listen and rate us wherever you get your pods.
Yeah, and also your 3 black friends make a lot of jokes and crack each other up, and are generally a joyful bunch in this case.
Yeah,
even as they are honest.
Even as we're honest and complaining about the world, it's still pretty entertaining. It's funny.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, you can find all those links down below in the show notes. Speaking of finding people on the internet, you can find me everywhere on the internet at Shelly Von Miller, to include Patreon and Fourth Wall, where you can get patron exclusive stuff like the upcoming thing that we're going to record called Table Sets, which is a this or that game. I'm really excited. I can't wait. I hope y'all have been liking it. It's a fun time to be had by all. And it's not my fault. Fourth Wall said videos are paid only, so consider throwing like $7, or if you're a big baller, $25 a month if you want all of the content. With that being said, I love you guys very much, and I will see you on the internet. Goodbye.